good morning, and welcome to the Elder Law Report for this Friday, October 16th, 2015. I'm Milton Baker, and we're going to send it into the studio with Greg McIntyre and the crew today, and I'd like to thank you for listening in on WOHS, WLON, and WCSL, and KTCBroadcasting.com. Greg, we have the studio camera on today. You guys are being recorded as we speak. Good morning, folks.
Good morning, Milton.
I'm nervous now, Milton.
No, you're not.
I don't know what to say. Am I being recorded?
You are being recorded on the studio camera.
Am I being recorded by the government?
Well, you don't know about that.
We're also live broadcasting it on Periscope, okay?
Okay.
So it's live now. If you go to periscope.tv, you can watch us too, right in the studio. And if you look at the studio and you look at KTC Broadcasting's YouTube channel and their website, you'll see all the shows. And you'll see the Octagon, what I call the Octagon. That's where we are today.
I call this the Dan Patrick Room.
Why is it the Dan Patrick Room?
Dan Patrick is a guy who talks about sports in the morning, and he has some guys in there, and it's like a man cave, and it's got all these bobblehead dolls and helmets, and you have to watch Dan Patrick sometime. He's a cool guy.
I know who Dan Patrick is.
Okay.
He's a pretty smart guy, actually, yeah. Dan Patrick. And yes, he's always a sports broadcaster, right? So yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's a broadcaster, but he's a commentator, and he does a man show.
I call it the Octagon because we're at this big octagonal table, and it's like getting in the ring at a UFC fight, right? It's a cage match when we start the show. We're in the Octagon. Let's go. I guess so. So plus we've got all the football helmets lined up and all the sports stars. I think we have Cecil Burton's football helmet in here. Which one was yours, Cecil?
The Shelby Golden Lions.
The Shelby Golden Lions. We've got his actual football helmet up there up front, okay, in front of the table. So that's really cool. We have Cecil M. Burton here today, a son of Cleveland County, and who has a local funeral home and crematorium. And we'll let him talk a little bit more about that. This is part of our Continuum of Care series. We started off talking about in-home care with Bayada and Amber Mitchell. Then we moved to adult daycare and life enrichment centers with Susie Kennedy. We've talked about asset protection and planning with financial planner Edward Jones, financial planner Jamie Richard. We've talked about nursing home care and assisted living care. We've talked about hospice. Patty McMurray was here last week. And now we have Cecil Burton in. And we're really running a life cycle of a senior, talking about all kind of senior care issues. And I've said many times, I'm amazed at what our show has become. I'm proud of what our show has become. I'm blessed to have lots of listeners out there who are drinking coffee along with me. If you're watching on Periscope or go afterwards to the KTC website, I'm drinking coffee right along with you. I've got my Dunkin' Donuts. I give a plug for Dunkin'. I might be drinking Starbucks, but we don't have a Starbucks in Shelley. So
you just blew your Dunkin' Donuts sponsorship.
Oh, my bad. I did. I said Dunkin' Donuts, and then okay. I just had to give props to Starbucks too. And we love our local coffee makers too, Lily Bean.
Oh yeah,
I drink coffee up there all the time. Okay.
Nice place to sit and do your work.
I'm going to take my foot out of my mouth and keep going. Okay. And so the people that are sitting on the porch or sitting at home drinking coffee with us and talking about senior issues, we're going to talk about pre-needs funeral planning this morning. That's our main focus. And you're going to get to know Cecil Burton a little better, talk about pre-needs funeral planning and why that's important to you as a senior. Pre-needs funeral planning, when you're talking about, one of the biggest icebergs that's hanging out there for seniors, 7 out of 10 seniors, according to a U.S. Department of Health and Human Services report in 2005, are going to need some type of long-term care, either in-home, assisted living, or nursing home care. That's a huge iceberg. I picture myself being on an iceberg, jumping up and down and waving flags at the approaching Titanic, which is the senior, and trying to warn you that you can turn away from that. One of the ways to do that is to engage in pre-needs funeral planning, which is an allowable expense, even within a 5-year look-back period for Medicaid to come in and pay for care, to do with your money. And the importance of having somebody reputable do it. There were headlines in the paper month and a half ago, just about somebody not doing it the right way, and not calling anybody out this morning, but just the importance of doing it the right way, and getting with someone you trust. I think that's true of an attorney or any other professional you deal with, and I can't say how much I respect Cecil M. Burton and him being here this morning. Why are you proud of the show, Hayden?
Well, I think there's good information we're sharing, and I'm a daughter of 2 aging parents, and I am learning every day. I'm learning as they age and as they need things, and it's things I wish I had known a long time ago. And it's not only about the facilities available and the services available, but how a lot of pre-planning could have helped my parents.
Right.
So this all ties in with my job with you and my learning experience with my parents.
I mean, for me, it's just that seniors, thank you for sharing your experience and what you feel. For me, it's just finding out there's just so many, going along this path myself as an attorney, so many complicated governmental regulations, senior issues that seniors deal with today, legal and tax and benefits issues. It's unreal, and the regulations surrounding them, and just literally the struggle to try to hold on to their hard-earned money and property, okay, and the fear of losing it, right, and trying to clear up some of those misconceptions, and what their options are going forward. It's just, I say this without hesitation. I started this show to be an advertisement for me. That's why I started it back several months ago, and it has morphed. It has changed into being something I feel like is a public service to the community. I hope that's what it's perceived as now, because that's all we do is we've started having really quality guests on to put out just quality information to the community. And I'm very proud of that. That's why I'm proud of this show.
And you have done that.
Yeah.
You've taught me a lot.
Well, thank you. You've taught me a lot too, Hayden.
This is Boss's Day, by the way.
It is
Happy
Boss's Day. Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. I hope I'm a decent boss. I try to be. I struggle with issues all the time. But.
You had to stop me the last time we talked about Boss's Day because I went on and on. He's a wonderful boss. He's a wonderful man. He's a wonderful father. I admire him very much.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. Well, without further ado, let's introduce our guest star today, starring Cecil Burton. Cecil, you really need no introduction in Cleveland County and surrounding counties, I think. I think you're well known. And for doing what I think is a profession, and even more than that, really a ministry, almost. So please feel free to introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on. I'm honored that you chose me to do it, Hayden Greg. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Cecil Burton. I'm a licensed funeral director and embalmer. I own Cecil M. Burton Funeral Home and Crematory. I'm a third-generation funeral home owner. My grandfather was in the funeral home business starting in 1923. He worked for Perican Furniture Company when all funeral homes were in furniture stores. Mm-hmm. Then he went out and started Lutz Jackson Funeral Home, which
Wait a second. Funeral homes used to be in furniture stores.
Right.
What are you talking about?
That's when the
I'm not that old. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's way before your time.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit before.
Funeral homes they didn't have actually funeral homes. The furniture stores were the funeral homes.
Okay.
They made the caskets, they sold the caskets, and then they had embalmers on staff that would you would come and they'd come out to the house. People would die at home. They'd come out to the house. They would embalm the person in the house.
So rooms to go.
Yeah, and they would embalm them and dress them in the kitchen. They had embalming tables, portable embalming tables, and portable embalming equipment they'd bring out. They would embalm
in your
kitchen and embalm it and dress it and put it in the casket, roll it up front where the family would receive friends at the front of the funeral home. They had netting where they'd have, of course, they didn't have air conditioning back then. They had netting they'd put over the caskets to keep the flies, and the insects at bay. Then they had the lights. They'd bring out the red light. We call red lights. The helps cosmetics for the body, and then eventually, later on, there was a need for in people's houses. They didn't want to do that anymore. They started funeral homes. The funeral directors and embalmers in the furniture stores went out and started their own funeral homes. Usually bought an old home and turned it into a funeral home. It was small back then because they still a lot of times took families the loved one home they were still doing that a lot. So they had small little houses just for families to come in, look at a casket, and they did their embalming at the home then instead of at the house. And I still have all my grandfather's embalming tables and stuff they took in cases they'd take out to the house. It was very interesting. So it morphed into.
We could spend a whole show talking about
Yeah,
that.
I could, and that's not what
And
we're here for. I'm sorry.
wakes and how that's traditionally
Right, that's
the way
that's
it
a
was
different
done.
that's a different subject. I know we're talking.
No,
about
but no,
pre-plan.
I mean that's amazing to me.
It is. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. But anyway, it morphed in. So anyway, I'm the third generation, and my grandfather had Lutz Allsdale Funeral Home, and then 20 years ago I started my own Cecil M. Burton Funeral Home and Crematorium. About 6 years ago, we put our own crematory in because of the needs of people, increased in the cremation rate in Cleveland and surrounding counties.
Understood. And so I think about they must have been good examples for you in the funeral business, for you to follow in their footsteps as a third generation.
It was. I just saw the caring they did and the ministry they did to help people, because it is a difficult time. Have you ever had anybody who you lost a loved one? You know how devastated you are and how hurt you are, and that's where the ministry comes in for us to help them get through that grieving process and help them get through the funeral. Because a lot of people they don't know what to do. I mean, you in the first few hours you got 50-something decisions have to be made, and that's why we're talking about pre-plan. The more you pre-plan, the less stress it takes off of you. You can make better decisions because you're not upset. It's a great way to do it. We do a lot of pre-planning.
I hope my parents will get to doing that right away. I don't want to have to make the decisions for them because I don't know everything they would want or the things they would want said about them mainly.
Right.
I know a lot about my parents, but there are details they might want other people to know. So,
And do you want to fool with it at that time when you're?
Yeah,
I'm
make the
sure you're not
decisions
going
under
to be
stress.
in that mood to go deal with those things. That just if your parents can make those decisions for themselves, that's similar to legal planning ahead of time. And I think pre-needs funeral planning is part of a legal planning strategy and structure.
Sure.
Because under the current Medicaid rules for long-term care and assisted living care in North Carolina, for nursing home or assisted living care, or it's called Special Assistance Medicaid or Long-Term Care Medicaid, Special Assistance Medicaid having a 3-year look-back period, Long-Term Care Medicaid having a 5-year look-back period, pre-needs funeral planning, you can spend that money without worry that it's the wrong way to spend it. It's under the rules. That's part of the correct way you can spend down money. And you've been doing that for years, and a lot of people to do that for years.
Mm-hmm. We have. And, when we first started doing like Medicare spend down,
Medicaid spend down.
Medicaid spend down,
Sure.
excuse me. I would have every family would come in from Medicare and would tell me a different story. Well, they said I could do this, I couldn't do this. I said, well, no, the other person told me they could do this, do this. Finally, I called out to Medicaid, and this was years ago, and said, can you give me a guideline or something in
tell me
writing?
how
Just
it's
tell me how it's supposed to do, because this family says
We've
they
got a
can't
lot of
do
street
this.
lawyers out
right.
there.
And then Medicare, when I talked to them, they said, well, Cecil, our book's about 4 inches thick. He said, I can't tell you.
Man.
And I said, everybody's different who comes in the door. I said, that's why, to me, it would be help them to get somebody like you that could walk them through it, because I'm not a
Yeah,
lawyer,
it is
and I can't.
complicated.
I can't dissect the
We
laws.
have the North Carolina Medicaid manual in our office, and it is every bit of 4 inches thick. And we dissect it and use it as a reference manual also all the time. Anna Parker in my office knows that book backwards and forwards also.
She has a great relationship with the people at the
with
Medicaid office.
the
out
clients and with the social workers over at Medicaid. Yes,
they're a resource for her when
they
she
are.
needs them.
So is the manual. Yeah,
And very helpful.
So that's part of what we try to do also is put out the correct information. So you can spend money. You'll hear there's a limit out there on how much you can spend. I think that's a bit of a misconception, okay? And, sometimes there are hard and fast rules in Medicaid planning, and sometimes there are flexible or what's reasonable, okay? And that may sound odd, but that's very true. In fact, different counties actually treat the rules differently. Sometimes you'll find, and other attorneys out there, if anybody's listening, they know what I'm talking about. It's just a different county by county, and you have to have a pulse on how it's really treated and the best way to do it, and the philosophy of your county under the rules. So, but long story short, to boil down statewide, pre-needs funeral planning is a strategy in a Medicaid spend down. And we counsel clients to have that lined up, not only so that you can use your hard-earned money and property for something that can directly benefit you and not cost your children. That's another item. I mean, who wants to put funeral costs on their kids?
Oh, that's the truth, and that's what happens if you spend your money down and then you don't have any money for a funeral. Well, somebody's got to pay for it,
Yeah,
and it falls on the children
right.
to pay
So it's
for
a burden.
it. When they had the assets, already had the assets to pay for it, and it's excluded out of Medicaid.
And if their assets are tied up in probate, the kids don't have access to that money.
That's correct.
So I don't know
Yeah,
how that's all
well, I'll
treated.
tell
This
you
is
how
all a
that's
learning
treated.
experience.
That's great. This is how these shows develop. Something I hadn't thought of. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. If it would fall on the children to make the payments for the funeral,
Mm-hmm.
because the funeral home has to get paid. Their employees have to get paid. Things cost money. We're in an economy that costs money. And I wish I could work for free, but I can't either. So and I've got a wife and 6 kids to take care of. You know what I mean? But the kids would be burdened with paying for the funeral in that situation if you hadn't pre-planned and didn't have the funds, or if it was tied up in probate, as you say, and frozen at that point.
That's a whole show.
That is a whole show.
Probate and pre-planning.
Yeah,
and
because
passing
you
things.
haven't properly named your executors, and that hasn't happened really quickly, or there's contention, between who should be the administrator or executor of an estate.
And it's different from a will. A will can be incorporated into your estate matters or your estate planning, but doing the probate, avoiding probate
Is
yeah,
outside of a will.
that's a little separate. It's an
This is
addition.
outside of a will. But long story short, the funeral is a lien you can place on the estate when it's opened to pay for the funeral expenses, to pay back the child. But that could take a while. I mean, minimum, you're looking at probably 6 months for an estate. You're looking at getting an appointment with a clerk a month, 2 months out.
I think they're about 2 months out now.
Yeah.
I agree. I was
And
trying
then the
to be
funeral
kind.
bill starts
I was
getting
trying to be
interest.
kind, but yeah,
I
you're
know,
right. You're right.
But,
Yeah.
but because they're short-handed,
They
in
are,
Cleveland
yeah.
County. But what
Great
I'm,
clerks over there, but
and
yeah,
then
probably
the
a couple
funeral
months
home,
out.
then the funeral home's adding interest to the bill, which is,
Interest of the bill all along.
and so that's
and-
increasing the cost.
And then you've got if it's over a certain size, which is over 30,000, really just ballpark right now. Okay, let's just say that. Then you have to publish in the paper. You have to wait 90 days either way. If it's over 30,000, you have to publish in the paper every week for 4 consecutive weeks, and then wait 90 days from the first date of publication. That's 3 months right there. So you've waited 2 months to get the estate open. 3 months is what you have to wait to see if liens come in. And then after that, you can start dispersing the money.
Well, what's the average cost?
So
of
that
a
right
funeral?
there is 5 months.
How much interest would you be paying on it? Or how much is an average funeral?
Well, I was running from $7,000 on up.
Oh, I know they can be.
7,000 plus. So you're paying interest on that. So the VIG's running on that continuously, for 5-6 months minimum. And estates can easily go out a year. So pre-needs funeral planning would nip that in the bud, make it easier for the attorney, the family, the funeral home, the senior, everybody involved. So those are just some issues. Thanks. That's a little tangent, but it's a good one. Yeah.
When do people come to you? I mean, other than maybe something like this, do the seniors do this
Oh yes, we do a
before they
lot.
pass away?
We do. We have
And-
some people come in and want to do it anyway because they rather, you get a couple. They rather have two make the decision and one have to make the decision because that's what it comes down to. I'd rather have a husband and wife come in and make the decision than the other surviving spouse has to come in by themselves and make that decision.
Do you have like a book?
We have a
booklet or
booklet,
something?
yes, booklet people can pick up, and that you can plan your funeral A to Z. You don't even have to come to a funeral home if you want to. Just pick up the booklet, and you can sit home in the privacy of your home and plan your own funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can't pick out the casket and all that other stuff that you need to do that in the funeral home. And one thing I want to stress, too, make sure who you're dealing with is a licensed to do pre-need in the state of North Carolina. Also, make sure they're a licensed funeral director under North Carolina law. They have to be a licensed funeral director to do pre-planning. and they have to have a pre-need license to do it also. So they have to have 2 licenses. So make sure those people have those licenses before they do that, because unfortunately, like all occupations, we have our bad apples. And like you said, we had one funeral home that's, was not depositing the money in the trust. So we have to put the money in a trust and register it with the state of North Carolina.
Well, do they avoid putting the money in the trust to draw interest on it, or
Right.
to?
They use it sometimes for their own gain, for their own personal business, or some to keep their business afloat. They have different reasons why they didn't put the money in the trust, and they used it. A lot of times it's just keep their business alive because of their business. But
How long does it normally take when you sit down with someone and talk about the issues from planning the funeral and the things surrounding that and the picking out the caskets, if they choose to do that?
we usually can do about an hour, hour and a half. It depends on their decision, how easy it is to make a decision. But we can usually do an hour, hour and a half.
Okay, very quickly, I'm going to offer. I have 2 gift certificates to Golden Corral, $20 a piece. 2 gift certificates to Golden Corral for the callers that call in the next 5 minutes. I don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to make it quick. In the next 5 minutes, I'll give away those 2 certificates that can tell me how many generations has Cecil Burton's family been in the funeral business. Okay, how many generations? And Milton, will you give him the number, please?
I sure will, Greg. And that phone number here to the radio station, same numbers we use for all our contests and call-ins, 704-482-1390, 704-735-8071, or 704-435-2844.
Thank you so much, Milton. We got 2. I'm holding them in my hand. Golden Corral gift certificates that you can pick up at the radio station, WOHS, on Shelby Highway.
We're getting a call.
All right.
Let's see. Hey, are you calling for the contest?
Yes.
All right. Can you guys hear the caller?
I can hear him.
y'all can hear him.
What's your name, ma'am?
Debbie.
Debbie. How are you doing this morning? You're on the air with Greg McIntyre, the Elder Law guy, on the Elder Law Report.
Oh, thank you. I've been listening.
Good. Is this the first time you've heard the show?
No, huh?
So you've heard us before?
Oh, yes.
Are you drinking coffee with me this morning?
No, I'm going down the road.
All right, well, good.
Yeah,
Going down the road. All right. So I've got two gift certificates, $20 to Golden Corral. Okay.
Okay.
And you tell me. I'm sitting here with Cecil Burton, and tell me. He's going to tell you if you're right or wrong. How many generations has Cecil Burton's family been in the funeral home business?
I thought I understood him to say 3.
Correct.
Ding, 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 ding. Can we get a sound effect?
Yes, we can. Give me one
Very
second.
good, Debbie. Thank you very much. All right, you're the winner. Our sound
Well,
engineer
thank
here.
you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. It's going to be here at the studio. Is that the way you'd like to pick this up? Is just swing by WOHS?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Thank you so much for calling, okay?
Thank you.
You have a great day.
All right,
And you too. Thank
Debbie. And guys and gals there, we've got another caller here.
Excellent.
Who wants to, I think, are you calling in for the contest?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey there.
LD!
Yes, sir.
What's
Hey.
going on, LD?
How are you, young man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, sir?
Did you get your breakfast eat this morning in the Shelby Cafe?
I did not eat at the Shelby Cafe this morning. I eat at the Shelby Cafe all the time, LD. I'll tell you what I did this morning, okay? I went by Dunkin' Donuts because I was meeting with someone early this morning, okay? And I had a chicken biscuit from Dunkin' Donuts and got a coffee. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't think a chicken biscuit at Dunkin' Donuts was a good idea. But it was good, man. It was a good chicken biscuit. I'm not going to lie to you. So anyway, I don't know how they prepared that thing in there, but it was good. It was good. So, LD, can you answer the question? How many generations was the Honorable Cecil M. Burton sitting beside me? How many generations was his family in the funeral home business? Or have they been? 3 generations.
Correct.
That's very good. Very good, LD. Well, thank you for calling in. Always enjoying knowing you're out there listening.
1923.
1923.
That's great.
1923.
LD said that.
That's a long time. That's
Yeah.
when your grandfather went in the funeral
Grandfather
business?
started in the funeral business.
That's unreal. All right, LD. Hey, I've got a $20 gift certificate to Golden Corral that's going to be here at the studio.
And
just for you.
Shelby?
Do we have information on LD and Debbie?
Yeah. So it's going to be at WOHS if you want to pick it up today. Okay.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
right.
You have a
Thank
great
you.
day, LD.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, LD. And
What's,
for
what's that?
No,
Okay. Hey, Cecil, quick question. If people want to call you or contact you about pre-needs funeral planning, by the way, Cecil has the biggest, nicest, best funeral home facility that I've ever seen, most anywhere, especially in Cleveland County. It's just a beautiful, beautiful structure. Looks like just a historic site. And I know you restored a place there. It just looks like a huge, beautiful house with wings on it, and it's just a great place to host a funeral.
It's so pretty.
It is beautiful. It's just a beautiful. It's definitely a blessing for the county.
And he has the planning guides that you can go pick up.
Right. We have
And
planning
they're at
guides
the
you can
funeral
get.
home.
They
We
can
talked
help.
about that just a minute ago. So
Okay.
he'd be
So
glad to.
what kind of planning guides?
We'll have to ask Cecil. He can tell you.
Okay. What kind of planning
There's
guides?
planning guides you can fill out. It has financial parts for the family to tell them like where the will is, or where the safety spot, where the life insurance. It tells you all about your vital statistics we need, what kind of funeral you want, what kind of songs you want, who you want to be your pallbearer. I mean, from A to Z, you can plan your funeral in your privacy of your home, and they're free. We don't charge people for them because we think you're just a better consumer if you're prepared.
I love that. I talk about, we have something similar, in the Journey group and program that we've interviewed. They have something similar. Cecil has something as well. The way you get everything together for your family also helps you organize your thoughts on all the assets you have, who all other family in your life, and then you can really set some goals for what you want to happen. If you want a pre-need, how much you want to place in that pre-needs funeral planning, what you want to do with your assets, who you want them to go to. I think that's a great idea. If people want to come see you or contact you, Cecil, could you tell us where they can find you and how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can either stop by the funeral home or call 704-480-8383.
Okay. And just, I'm not sure everybody knows out there. There may be one person out there in the western part of North Carolina who doesn't know the address. What's the address?
It's 106 Cherryville Road.
106 Cherryville Road. It's
That's
actually on the same road we're on right
We're
now.
same
just down
road.
the
Highway 150 goes from Shelby to Cherryville.
It goes straight just from Shelby to Cherryville. That is correct. Okay. What's our time, Hayden? Where are we at?
We're close, but you have a caller who wants to ask a question about the funeral home. Can you take this caller?
Absolutely, we can take the caller.
Okay. All right. Sir, go ahead.
Yes, I was wanting to talk to you. I was needing to find me a cremation or something, but I was wanting to talk to you, not on the radio.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted on the air.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. You can do one of two things. If you want to leave your phone number with Milton, we'll call you back. Okay, directly. I'll have Cecil call you back, and we'll address that issue. Or you can hold till after the show, which will be over within the next 5 minutes, and Mr. Burton can talk to you then. Okay.
All right.
You want to hold on or leave your number with me off the air?
I'll just leave my number with
All
you.
right, I'll get it.
Cecil, if you'll get his name and number, Milton, if you'll get his name and number, we'll call
do
him
that.
back after the show. Okay?
I'll do that. Okay.
Thank you, caller. I appreciate
you guys
that.
go ahead.
So I'll tell you what, I'm Greg McIntyre, the Elder Law guy. I think everyone out there who's been listening, who listens every week we're on at 10 o'clock after Swap and Shop on 1390 WOHS and different channels, KTC Broadcasting, Big O Country. So that's the channel we're on.
Real quickly, next week we've got Ruth Huffstetler from Helping Hands who's going to talk about
I love
that
Ruth.
service. Yeah. And then the week after that, we've got Debbie Vaughn.
What's
who's gonna-
Helping Hands?
Helping Hands is an in-home care service.
They can come in your house.
Yes.
and help
and
you
she's
stay in
gonna-
your home.
She's going to,
If you
you
need
ask
help.
my parents, do they want to go to an assisted living center?
Yeah.
Not yet.
No.
Maybe sometime down the road they'll be happy there, but
Yeah.
right now they want to stay home. And so Ruth's going to talk to us about that. And then the next week we've got Debbie Vaughn coming to talk about the Journey book that you
Oh, I'm
discussed
so
a
excited
while
about
ago.
that. I'm really excited about that
Yeah.
too. Those are great
We'll
books.
tell you
She's
more
such
about that.
such a good speaker
Oh, she is.
about that.
Such a
Keeps her
nice
divorce
lady.
papers in her planning book in the trunk of her car.
Yeah.
Woo! So anyway, so those are the shows we've got coming up. And really, we have, if you looked at that schedule, we have probably the next 2 months sketched out. But we don't have time to go through that right now. But I appreciate Hayden and all she does, helping me pull everything together in my scattered and cluttered life,
And it is.
lawyer life. Okay?
That's everything
And
going on.
appreciate all the listeners out there. I'm the Elder Law guy, Greg McIntyre. You can contact me at 704-259-7040. That's 704-259-7040. If you want to talk about your estate plan, on how you can work on holding on to all your hard-earned money and property as you age, and also pass that property along as you wish and you see fit, not as the government has planned it for you, because I know we all trust the government. Give us a call, 704-259-7040. And you mention Big O Country or mention the code word radio, and we'll do a free consultation for you. I won't charge you the $100 consultation fee that I would generally charge everyone else, okay? Sit down with you for an hour or more, however long it takes, just to get everything straight. So this has been Greg McIntyre, a.k.a. Perry Mason, never lost an elder law case. See you next week.